Leeds, and in this video I'm going to be interviewing a serviced accommodation expert in the Berkshire area, just outside of London. This guy is making very, very good money doing the rent to serviced accommodation strategy, but he also manages properties on serviced accommodation. So we're going to be talking about all the nitty gritty stuff that we do not usually talk about on YouTube. So I hope you enjoy this video. If you're thinking of getting into serviced accommodation, I think you're going to find a lot of inspiration, but also information from Alexandra in this interview. So Alexandra, welcome to Winners on a Wednesday. How are you doing?
I'm really well, thank you for having me.
So you've built to a really nice little portfolio around Berkshire, Buckinghamshire. You've got all these different properties in these different areas, and you've been doing this now for a couple of years. So firstly, in your words, what is serviced accommodation?
Serviced accommodation is where you take an apartment or a house. You can either rent it off a landlord, or if you're owning the property, then you can also do this as well. Obviously, of course, with the right education. You're going to be offering it as a short stay. So instead of a normal tenancy of 6 months or a year, you're offering it to people for a couple of nights or a couple of weeks or a couple of months at a time.
So basically what you're saying is, instead of renting a property out to a family or just on a normal long-term let, you're renting it out to people on a short stay agreement, which presumably is going to be a lot more work potentially for the owner?
Definitely, yeah, there's definitely more involved in it. We've actually seen, I did the business model originally on people staying for 2 to sort of 5 nights.
Yeah.
But actually we found people staying up to, a couple of weeks or even a couple of months at a time. But of course you are offering a furnished property with all bills included, and there is an extra level of service there that people do expect. Now
the really interesting thing is, in my opinion, if you attempt to do this and you don't really know what you're doing, you haven't had the training, or you haven't got the power team, you haven't got the management in place, this can be a logistical nightmare with the linen and the bookings and double bookings and reviews. It can be really hard, but if you get a good power team in place, and if you know what you're doing and you learn the skills, which is what we're going to be showing in this video, then it's a dream. So what's the upside to serviced accommodation?
The upside is you've got a business which you can scale, which you can systemize, and that ultimately can give you that time freedom that we'll talk about. Financials looking good, but it's the time freedom that's really key. And it's kind of the days where I've got a team member who deals with our guests. I've got systems involved that automate a lot of the processes. That means that, recently I've actually been able to have a weekend, which has been quite nice.
Right.
And, the business has still been running in the background. People have still been staying in our properties. And we've had our cleaning team keeping on top of, the linen and the cleaning and making sure that the properties are kept at a really high standard. We've had our sort of guest management team making sure the guests are happy.
How many properties do you have?
So live and active now, I think it's 12. It should be 13 by the end of the week.
13 by the end of the week. So it's quite a nice little size portfolio.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is this, Alexander, if you buy a house and rent it out, you're probably going to be making, the average rents are about £800-900 a month. Take away your mortgage payments, take away your management and all the different expenses, maintenance to go with it. You're probably going to be left with a profit of about 300 quid.
Yeah, very
Now,
true.
Your properties don't earn you £300. They earn you far, far more than that, right?
Yeah, correct.
So if you're going to have little properties, buy-to-let houses that are making you 200, 300, 400 quid here and there, you need to have a large portfolio to be making some decent profit. Also, tax implications. There's Section 21. There's a lot of things. You can't claim mortgage back unless it's through a business. Service accommodation, that doesn't apply. You need a lot of money to get started. How much money did you have? You've been going now a couple of years, you're going strong, you're making a good profit, which we'll get into, but how much money did you have when you got started in the property business?
Me personally, I started with zero. I managed to borrow a bit of money from mum and dad to help me come on the course.
Right.
Wouldn't necessarily advise that to everyone else, but
You would advise the course or borrowing it from mum and dad?
Wouldn't necessarily advise borrowing money to do the course, but I'd say, for me, I'd set my heart on doing the property business, and I knew that's what I wanted. That's the path I wanted to go down. But yeah, started with no money to actually put down in property, but through networking, which was massively encouraged during the academy events, which was awesome. I met a whole load of people and sort of put that vibe out there that I just wanted to chat to as many people as possible.
Yeah.
And through that, I met a business partner who actually spoke to him about how one academy member who I'd been dealing with had, said he had some money to help me start off the first unit. And that academy member had gone up to Liverpool and instead of picking up one deal, picked up 6, and had come back to me and gone, really sorry, Alex, I haven't got any cash anymore. So I was kind of twiddling my thumbs and just kept on networking with people and meeting people either for a coffee or for a drink.
Yeah.
And I was just chatting to this guy, explaining my story, and he just turned around and went, oh yeah, well, if you want, some money to put towards your business, and I can help out. I was like, oh right. I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't even pitching. I was just sharing the story.
Right.
And just explaining to him, why I thought the business model would work, the research I'd done into it, and the plans I had. And so yeah, we got started off from there.
But the thing is, there are a lot of entrepreneurs out there that are actively looking for people that they can invest money into.
Absolutely. And I've even had people in I've got quite a few different networking groups and mentoring groups now that I belong to, and I've had people reach out in the last few weeks, just say, Alex, I've got this lump of money in the bank. It's not doing me any good in the bank. I want to put it into property. I'm time poor, but I'm cash rich.
Right.
Can you help me go and look for some property?
So the key is then, because a lot of people think they might not have a lot of money and they think, oh, well, I can't do anything. But actually, if you haven't got a lot of money, you need to get the skills and the network and the team around you to be able to start making money.
It's just blown my mind how much cash, especially after coronavirus, is available in the market. We've got people with bounce back loans, we've got people with inherited money or money they've worked for, money they haven't spent on holidays in the last couple of years. There's literally hundreds of thousands, if not millions, all around the country. All you need to do is just put yourself in the right environment to meet those people. Here's
why I call you a service accommodation expert, because not only are you making money now, which is great, and we'll get on to the figures. Hopefully you'll be able to share a little bit about how much you're making. I know it's a lot, but you made it through the lockdown as well. So your business has almost like recession proof. I mean, damn, if you can make money when you're not allowed to leave the house, you're not allowed to book a hotel. All the hotels are closed down, and you're able to make business through this model, money through this model. Admittedly, not as much as you are now, but you got through that whole period. I know we spoke a lot, and you worked really hard. You put systems in place. Now you're making crazy money, but I feel like you've got so many properties now. You've got 12, you're moving on to 13, 14 properties. You're making very good money. I think it's fair to say that you've been in the game long enough for me to be able to say, because if I want help, I know I was having a property recently, in your kind of area. I'm like, I wonder how this is going to do. I'll pick up the phone and speak to you. So I figured, let me introduce you to my audience, because I think that you've learned a lot, you've grown a lot, you've got a lot of good content and information in your head. I want to just kind of draw that out of you in this interview. So when you're going and getting a rent to rent, okay, how do you know? Because this is one of the biggest issues that I think people have in this business of service accommodation. If you're buying a house to rent it out, you just speak to a letting agent, and the letting agent will say, it will rent for 900 quid. Great. If you're doing a HMO, you speak to a HMO management company and you go, hey, how much will these rooms rent out for? Oh, they rent out for £400 each. And you go, 4, there's 5, it's £2,000 a month. Right, I know how much rent I'm gonna get. When you're taking on, whether you're buying, whether you're controlling, when you take on a unit and the intention is to rent it out on short stays, number one, who the heck's gonna rent it? Who's your market? Number two, how much are you expecting to make? Is it a stab in the dark? Is there a formula to work that out? Help me out here, Alexander.
Yeah, certainly. So first of all, it's about doing the market research. So looking at Airbnb, Booking.com, that is just the tip of the iceberg. And obviously in coronavirus times, the calendars were shut on both those platforms.
Right.
So you can't rely on any one platform to get your bookings from. So you've got to think about this, as you always say, as a business. It's not just a one-trick pony. You've got to have multiple streams of inquiries. So Airbnb and Booking.com is for your basic research. You then want to be phoning up local companies, because we're starting to see corporate travel. It's starting to happen again now. Even the last couple of weeks, we've taken 2 one-month bookings off one group who are working with a big corporate company in our local area, which is fantastic. Now, in terms of the money, we've been having some fantastic rates during sort of August and the September and the July period in the summer. I've been taking a sort of kind of review on what we're going to do going forward, but it's roughly sort of £500 a month plus £100 per room. So if I've got a 2-bed, and this is profit by the way, if I've got a 2-bed, I want 500 plus the 2 rooms worth. So that's about £700 profit is what I should be aiming for,
right,
even as we're coming into the low season now.
Okay, and the high seasons, and again, you need to look at this as a business. You sometimes talk to me about, I made this much off this one, you say to me off the camera, this one made $4,000 in 1 month or whatever. But it's like, yeah, that's fine, that was August or whatever.
What's it going to do
now, November sort of time. The peak times, you got Christmas, which is crazy high all around December, the holidays. You've got the summer holidays during the summer, maybe a little bit Easter during when the kids are off school. It can go a little bit crazy. You've got to look at this over a whole year though, right?
Absolutely.
You've got to look at this over a whole year.
I mean, the property, that sort of stunner little 1-bed I was talking about earlier on, we managed that for one of our clients. and they run a dental surgery, and they've got this little flat above. They were getting like £1,000 a month on that flat as a normal rental.
Right.
We managed to give them some really crazy numbers in August, but obviously now what we're going to get in the low season, and we've just taken a booking for 3 months, and that guest is going to be paying, I think, just under £3,000 a month.
Right. So you're paying £1,000 a month, but your guest is paying you £3,000 a month.
It's actually a managed property, so we're just charging a management fee. But the landlord uplift they're getting on that is, instead of £1,000 a month, they're getting over £2,000. So it's a 100% increase on the normal rent.
And what are you taking?
15%.
15%.
Yeah.
So some of your landlords say, we want you to just manage it,
yeah,
and we'll give you a percentage of the profit. We'll share the profits.
Profit share or percentage on turnover.
And then some of them just say, I want to know what I'm going to get.
Yeah.
You give me a guaranteed rent, and then anything you make on top, you can keep for yourself. Okay, what kind of areas? I know you've been working in Berkshire, Buckinghamshire,
bit of
Hampshire, lots of different villages, little small towns. What areas work best?
I think you've got to look at a couple of key things. One, you've got to work out, is it a tourist area or is it a kind of commuter and sort of corporate area? The areas I've been looking at are kind of just outside of London, so we do get a bit of both. We've got some lovely countryside, we've got lots of tourist attractions, but we've also got a lot of travelling companies. There are some big companies in and around just outside West London, all along sort of the M4 and the A4 corridor. So by doing the research on Airbnb and Booking.com, if you're on sort of the coastal routes, it's going to be quite a touristy sort of atmosphere, and you've got to try and maximise your rates in the summer season and the high season. But you've also got to sort of try and work out a plan for mitigating the effects of the low season. But if you come sort of more inland around the particularly sort of urban areas and places that are just outside of the inner city, then you can find a lot of places that will perform still really well in the summer, but will be sort of more consistent. There'll be less of a downward trend going through the winter periods.
Okay, so like November. Coming into November, what kind of profit will you be expecting? Because you can rave about July or all you want, but these kind of quieter, more average months across your portfolio, what kind of profit, including the properties that you're controlling, you're managing, are you making a month?
A bit of a mixture, but we're still getting around £700-800 profit on the 2 beds. Right. And more on the 3 and the 4 beds.
And you've got 12 in total?
12 in total, yeah.
So
with number 13 coming on. I actually had a message from the landlord today. He's just doing a few touch-ups on it and fixing a few bits for us. And
so you're talking double digits profit per month? That's incredible. And last time you came on the channel, you were making like $2,000, just barely.
Yeah, 1,500.
About 1,500, barely. And you had like two or three units.
I mean, it's crazy. I think that first summer, of course, we picked up a unit 2 and 3 in summer just after coronavirus, and then we had a guest in there. I think one of them for like a month, and we were making maybe 300 or 400 quid profit on that, and roll on, the turnover's double, the profits had kind of double or triple that.
Crazy.
And so just when the floodgates opened, of course, the market opened up again this summer. It worked out really well.
Another thing is you were still making profit through that lockdown.
We were. That's the key thing. And we could only supply certain markets. So we had contractors who were actually working to refurb hospitals, right? Which is a really interesting market to be in. We had other contractors who were working on sort of the railway lines, who were then allowed to, outdoor work was allowed. And it's just a case of whatever happens. And I was listening to an audiobook today, actually, by a guy up in Newcastle, and he's a fitness trainer. And he was just saying how a lot of the guys he's been training, he particularly focuses on men's health. He says these guys, they were in really rough backgrounds, they had sort of addiction issues, family issues, all sorts. But he'd been working with them so closely before coronavirus that when coronavirus hit, they were already in like the educational and mental space to improve their businesses and adapt to the changing situation. And that's what really occurred to me this morning. I was like, there's always opportunities. Yeah. It doesn't matter where you are, what the economy is, even with coronavirus, where literally the whole world shut down. There were still opportunities to give a good service and to also make some decent sort of money on the bottom line as well. Really interesting thing. Well, I believe, and I know you believe, in business, the way to make money in business is to add value to people. Yep. Right? Absolutely. If you're trying to chase the money, I want money, me, then you're going to struggle. Whereas if you think, actually, how can I create a good product, good service? How can I then learn to make it easy to sell that product or service? How can I actually add value to people's lives? Yeah. That's when you start getting rich. And with that being said, one of the things is, sometimes I don't understand, people are doing like foreign exchange and these different things, and I'm like, that's cool, but I like to get satisfaction from thinking, who am I helping? What value am I adding? So I'm asking you some questions, Alexander. Number one,
what value are you adding to the landlords when you offer them a guaranteed rent and then you go and make a load of profit? Some people might think, well, why wouldn't they just do it themselves? Why would they give you their property for you then to run it as service accommodation? Why wouldn't they just do it themselves? What value are you adding to the landlords? That's the first question.
Great question. I'm really glad you asked this because we've made some mistakes. And we got it wrong a couple of times where we were trying to grow the business too quickly. We had lots of contractors coming in who needed accommodation, and we were like, right, the more properties we can bring on, the more people we can serve. For sure, we need to make some profit, but if we can serve more people, then we can serve even more people, as you know. It's that exponential effect. We got it wrong a few times, and that was really unfortunate, but we learned from that.
How did you get it wrong?
Right, basically we let the wrong type of guests stay in the properties.
So you just were chasing the money and just thinking, I'll just put anyone in because I want to get the money.
It wasn't quite as simple as that. You can sort of run this business in several different ways. You can either have a couple of individual points of contact, either with individual contracts with companies who only work with those companies, or you can open yourself up to the wider market. Now, coming out of coronavirus, we needed to open ourselves up to any sort of good paying guest because the supply of guests was limited, and we wanted to see this business through to the summer where we knew we could keep it expanding.
Right. So you're less choosy with the guests.
Exactly. We were just on the verge of bringing in a whole load of procedures like ID checks, security deposits, T's and C's, and unfortunately I had some guests who didn't behave themselves well, and we had to really take some lessons from that. And I feel now that the business...
What did they do?
Oh, you don't want to know. But no, it wasn't a case of that. It's just, they weren't very respectful to the neighbours. They weren't,
just bad guests.
Bad guests, basically.
Maybe a party or whatever. That just not a good guest.
Not the guests we
bringing down the street, getting complaints.
Exactly.
Landlord getting upset, coming down on you, and causing a problem with the relationship.
Exactly.
All because you, understandably, because of the times, but you didn't vet the guests properly.
Not as well as we should.
How do you vet the guests?
Now we do an ID check. We do a security deposit, so that's a refundable deposit, and we also get them to sign our terms and conditions. We also do a phone call with them, and then we also have surveillance. We have sort of CCTV surveillance in the properties, and we also have sort of sound monitoring.
Now that's really good sale now, because if I'm a landlord and you're saying, I want to take your property on, my first thought's going to be, if you've got people coming in and out all the time, what happens if I have crazy guests and they damage my property? Yeah. Or they cause problems with my neighbours, and I start getting complaints. I'm the ultimate owner of the property. But when you start talking like that, saying we have CCTV, we do these checks, it makes me feel comfortable as the landlord. But my big question is, I understand that you might be able to look after the property and everything, but why wouldn't the landlord just do it themselves? Why would they pass you the property to manage it and to run it as service accommodation? Great
question. Everyone's motivated by different things. Some landlords like to be actively involved and like to get their hands on. We actually work with some landlords who they really like supporting our business model, and we like supporting their investments that they've made in these assets. And so they're happy to do the maintenance and they charge that back to us. We're happy to work with them and make sure that we're getting guests in there who are going to treat the property well. Yeah. We've also got other landlords who actually it's an investment, but they're too busy doing they've got full-time jobs. So they want to put someone in there where they're going to say, right, I'd like someone to keep an eye on it. And so, we've got our cleaners go in, regularly to make sure the property's being looked after. We've got a maintenance team on board who will... But you're making per property, you're making between £500 and £1,000 clean profit a month. Yeah. If they're in a job and they're too busy, why wouldn't they just do it themselves? Oh, it's a couple of key things is if you don't know how, you don't know what you don't know.
Bingo, very true. And it isn't easy to begin with.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of procedures and systems and the key safe outside and getting your channel manager all synced and systemized. There's a lot to it.
It's probably about 100 processes that, I kid you not, 100 bits of information have to travel from one place to another to get every single guest in. Right. And that's a mixture of phone calls, emails, sometimes even text messages, all sorts of data.
Can you systemize it?
You can.
But is that an overnight thing?
It takes time.
Takes time, takes knowledge.
It takes a mixture of education, software, automation, and experience.
Absolutely. Okay, so the value to the landlord or the owner is, I know what I'm doing, I've got the knowledge, I can give you the guaranteed rent, or I can manage it and I'll just take a percentage of the profits.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the value to the landlord. What about the guests? Why would a guest pay you? Some of your guests stay in the property for 2-3 months. Yeah. Quite regularly.
Yes. Yeah.
Like that Winchester property. How much that Winchester property? How much are you getting on that turnover? How much are you renting that out for?
What, on a nightly rate?
No, on a monthly average.
On monthly average, that's about around 3,000.
About 3,000. And how much are you paying the landlord?
So we take the 15%. and then we'll give the rest to the landlord. So the landlord's getting sort of 100% increase on what they get on a normal long-term rent.
How much would you be able to rent that property for though, just as a standard single let?
Yeah, about £1,000 a month.
£1,000. So why would someone live in that property for 3 months and pay £9,000 just for 3 months when they could get somewhere with that same money? They could rent somewhere for 9 months. Why would they pay so much money?
Great question. So it's all about flexibility and ease of access. People, when they come with us, we obviously do the security checks, etc. But it's a payment and it's an invoice, and then they're ready to go. They don't have to worry about bringing their furniture. They don't have to worry about putting their names and bills. They can come and stay, and everything's ready to go from day one.
So it's more like a hotel.
Yeah, it's this interesting segment in the market where people generally want more from hotels. They want to have a living space rather than just the bedroom and being sat on the edge of the bed watching TV. They want to have maybe a sort of a dedicated kitchen area. They want to be able to cook for themselves.
Yeah.
People are getting really sort of health aware these days. So having that sort of self-contained space, they can come and go as they please. They've got all the separate spaces they want, and they can cook themselves some food as well. And that's where the market's changing.
Would you advise people to get into the serviced accommodation space? Would you say it's a good thing to do?
If you're passionate about giving a good service and about making sure that you're giving a great service to the landlord, but also a great service to the guests, then it's absolutely great business to do.
Because that's another thing. Is like some people. I had this conversation with Amelia a couple of weeks ago, where Amelia was saying, this is quite hard. Like, this is quite difficult.
It's a lot of processes. Yeah.
There's a lot to this, and I was like, well, yeah. And then she said to me, she said, do you think that people realise how hard this is? And I said, the thing is, Amelia, we've got to remember is, it's hard for you right now because you're doing it for the very first time.
Yep.
When you learn to drive, I remember when I had my first driving lesson, I was like, man, this is hard. You've got to change gear and look in the window, and it's really hard. I remember even on my driving test, I was there and I was like, oh, straight up, right? It's hard.
Yeah.
But now, I don't even have to think about it. Now I just imagine if someone said, I'll walk 3 hours because I don't want to drive because driving's too hard. You'd think they were crazy.
Yeah.
And it's the same, I think, with property, investment and being an entrepreneur. Is it hard? Yeah. Does it take a lot of work and learning new things? It does, especially to begin with. But once you know how to do it and you get it and you've done it and you're trained, then it becomes easy.
I keep searching for where is the easy option? It just doesn't exist. What you can do is you can make the most of the tools and resources you've got, like the internet, the videos you put out, and a lot of people put out on how to make money in property. The education you can get is just so accessible, but it's just unreal. We've never had this in history. And there's opportunities in property. There's opportunities in numerous different business industries across the spectrum. And I think that's just really important for people to remember, is that it's still tough. There's still lessons to be learned, but if you're not learning lessons, you're not growing. And for me, I think to feel alive, I need to feel like I'm learning stuff every day. We have the business has challenges. There's, every day we're learning from our guests. We're talking to the landlords. We're learning how we can be better, how can we give better service, how we can look after the properties better, how we can do everything better.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy that learning process.
And the thing is, you get paid handsomely now because you offer value to people.
Yeah.
You offer value to the landlords, value to the guests. You've got good systems in place, and that's why you're getting paid well. You've become a more valuable person.
Yeah.
What happened? Tell me what happened when you got the phone call from Amelia last week. What happened?
Oh gosh, yeah. So, so it was
from your perspective, because it'd be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's really funny because we had an inquiry come from one of our online platforms. I handed it over to my colleague to sort of deal with it. She's this lovely lady called Amelia who wants to offer a guaranteed rent for 6 months on maybe a year or so.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I think I know what's going on here. I think this is someone else who wants to start a serviced accommodation business in the area. And
that's your assistant that told you that.
And so I think Amelia and I had a phone call.
Right.
Because my assistant said this is what she wants to do, and then I gave her a phone call back.
You rang Amelia.
I rang Amelia.
Right. And did you know that Amelia was linked to me?
No idea at that point. No. I just thought Amelia sounds like a lovely girl.
I didn't know either.
No.
In fact, I didn't say to Amelia, call about this. Amelia found you, her own, because I told Amelia to ring every single person from Open Rent and Gumtree and Spare Room. So she rings you up, you're having a conversation.
It's funny because it was actually a property that we were managing,
right.
not even one that I was renting, sort of in my own personal portfolio. So it was funny that the way it came through that way. And then all of a sudden I just said, I'm in Windsor, I do this as well. And I think the cogs in your head were whirring, going, hang on, this is. I'm
thinking if someone is in Windsor and they're saying, I do this as well, They must be my student. All right? They must be. So when you're saying, I didn't know who you were, it actually sounded a bit different on the phone. So you're chatting with, I'm driving, this is the conversation, and I heard you say, oh, well, we actually do something similar. And I'm thinking, who's this dude? And I said, I'm like, who's this dude? And I think I might have said to him, like, who's this dude? It's Alex. I'm like, and then I took over the phone, I'm like, Alexander Price, is it you? Oh my goodness. It's like, but it's just crazy. It's such a small world when you're in the property space. Everyone knows everyone. And I think that's why it's so important to maintain a really good reputation, because this is a small world.
Yeah.
You know, super, super small world. And then we met up, and obviously, what did you think of Amelia's property?
Oh, it was awesome. Yeah, I had a quick look at it and saw some of the pictures and saw the location. And I thought, wow, it's a real cracking deal she's got herself there.
Very, very, very beautiful deal. That's going really well. She just had a 23-night booking on that.
Really?
Yeah, 23-night booking on that.
Okay,
it's full. It's full. So that's incredible. Next steps for you then, Alexander. Are you going to start doing biorefurbished finance, building your own portfolio, or are you just going to keep scaling this? What are you going to do?
So I've been thinking about over the last few months, like, where do I want to take the business next?
Yeah.
We found that we had a fantastic summer, but we really need to sort of kind of make ourselves as strong and as secure as possible.
Yeah.
So actually sort of doubling down on all the systems. We want to get ready for a big expansion in the new year, but right now we're focusing on all the systems. We're already picking up properties kind of on a monthly basis anyway, because I've sort of just kind of shared the message so much and spoke to so many people. We've got landlords who are actually buying property now to then give to us, which is really
brilliant.
Nice. Well, not quite, but we've actually got landlords we're working with who are potentially giving us first dibs on properties that they've purchased to say, Alex, would this work for you and your business model? So when we built those relationships, like, right, okay, we are doing something right here, and just making sure we build on those going forward, get the systems right, and get ready for some big expansion in the new year.
Nice. And you're moving into new areas?
Not right now. We might do.
Are you working in Beaconsfield?
Not yet.
Would you like to?
Certainly be interested.
I've got a property in Beaconsfield I can show you.
We should have a chat.
Afterwards, I'll take you around it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
awesome.
could definitely do something. Okay, so when we spoke about a year ago, I think it was almost exactly a year ago actually, when you came in for your first Winners Wednesday interview, you'd gone through the academy, you'd just about become financially free, but it was early, and I think I like bringing people back on as part two, because sometimes people might wonder, where are they now?
Yeah.
All these people that come on Winners on a Wednesday and say, I'm financially free, like, well, where are they a year later or 2 years later? Now it's been 2 years since you joined the academy. What would you say your biggest takeaway has been over the last couple of years?
Oh, that's a great question. I think I was even thinking about this earlier on today before I came. I thought, what has been the big learning curve? And it's just, I think, through people, it sounds a bit cheesy, but through people there are possibilities.
Yeah.
I think that's just the biggest thing. Like, I met, especially, I've like the one thing I remember vividly from the academy was just the speed networking. And I was just like, wow, within the space of like 15, 20 minutes, I met like 5 to 10 people who we'd already roughly knew about each other because we'd been in the same room. We then got a chance to exchange numbers and exchange, I'm looking to help, build a portfolio that, okay, I've got money, but I don't have time. And suddenly making those connections was really powerful. And that's what's really helped me start this business. That's what's helped me expand the business. And it's, for me, it's just a case of, we try and give a great product. We try and communicate with our guests and the landlords as much as possible. And I'm always learning from the people that I'm speaking with, and I'm learning from my various mentors and the various people I have in my network. So just the people is what makes it possible. So
true. I think your environment is everything, and it's all about who you know. It's not just what you know; it's who you know.
And I love what you said when I came on the first Winners on a Wednesday, because you said, I was talking about sort of my previous experiences with my family and the recession of 2007, 2008, and you said, dude, you were in that recession. That recession was your world. It was the outside world, but it was also your world. Whereas that recession wasn't the world for other people. They'd create their own environment, they create their own mindset, and I especially felt that with this lockdown. When the first lockdown came in, I wasn't quite sure. I just got my first unit live in March last year in 2020. But we came through that, we expanded some more. Again, I was a bit tentative, but then come at the back end of 2020, I was like, right, this is going to work. I've got confidence. I spoke to a lot of mentors and people. I said, right, what should I do? And they said, like, yep, go for it. Trust me, this will pay dividends. And we expanded. We managed to get on board.
Amazing.
A shed load of properties.
And we bump into each other sometimes, walking around the parks.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm like, Alex, what are you doing? What more deals you got? You point over the river. That's the latest deal. It's great to be neighbours.
Where we bumped into each other, I was actually offered one of the properties, literally on that riverside.
Incredible.
Literally 100 metres away.
Incredible, man.
That one didn't come together.
You talk a lot about mentors and education, and you mentioned that a few times, how important that is.
Definitely.
A lot of people try not to pay for education, And I'll say this, you've got to pay for either education or mistakes.
Yep. So true.
Or the third thing you have to pay for, which is loss of income because you just don't do anything.
Yeah.
You can't go around your whole life saying, I want all of the upside but none of the downside. I want to know everything, I make lots of money, but I don't want to invest in myself. I don't want, it's like you have to choose which hard, and again, going back to, is this easy or is it hard? Everything's hard.
Yeah.
Being overweight is hard, but so is being slim.
Yeah.
Working in a job is hard, but so is having a business. Being rich is hard, and so is being poor. Everything's hard. It's about what hardship you want to choose.
And I think that's what I like is when it's having choices. And I think when I sort of look now and I think, I had a sort of phone call from Amelia earlier on, and he said, right, are you free for an interview today? And I just thought, okay, I'll rearrange my diary, let's do it.
Yeah.
And thanks. And that's because I'm sort of running a business where we put systems in, we spent time to make sure there's flexibility in that for myself, there's flexibility in it for the team that work with me as well.
Yeah.
To make sure they can, do things that they want to jump in and do. And I thought actually it'd be an awesome opportunity to come and say hi. And,
that's great. It's really
good. And also
good.
for me, it's like, again, I don't know if you see my 100 days of gratitude I do on social media, but it's just about saying thank you. And if you start every day by saying thank you for what you've got, you'll find more of that to say thank you for.
Absolutely. What you focus on expands.
100%.
And you'll validate your own belief.
Yes.
So if you think, like you were saying about the recession, we're in lockdown, everyone's struggling now. If you think everyone's struggling now because we're in lockdown, or everyone's struggling now because we're in 2008 crash, if you think everyone's struggling, then you'll struggle. Because you think that everyone's struggling. If you say, actually, you know what? Most millionaires get rich in a crisis.
Absolutely.
Like, you just got to always be positive. What does your mama think now? Because you borrowed the money off your folks to do the academy.
Yes.
Which obviously has worked pretty well for you. Good decision?
Absolutely, 100%. No, I knew it when, for me personally, on that day, it was actually my first day full-time property. I'd spent 6 months researching beforehand and whilst I had a day job. And I was like, right, this is what I'm going to do 100%. And I deliberately came on the academy to meet the controversial Samuel Leeds, to see what it was all about, because I knew it would be a high energy event. And then when you said the academy and the opportunity to network with more like-minded individuals and learn everything I learned there was just like, for me, it was a no-brainer. I just remember being on the phone to my dad being like, right, please, I just want to, please let me get involved with this. But there was a lot of forethought to that. And I'd done 5-6 different businesses before then, which I had some had worked, some had failed. But then I was like, right, okay, how can I really sort of, how can I make the best of my communication with other people and building relationships? Yeah. I thought property would be the way to go.
It's great to see you focus in, because I think a lot of the reason people fail is because they're almost entrepreneurs and they try everything. They've got a bit of this, they're Amazon drop shipping, and they're this and they're this.
It was so funny. I met sort of a guy on the academy, Seb, awesome dude. And he was so kind. Like, he was saying, Alex, can you come view some properties with me down in Portsmouth? And I was doing that literally just before lockdown happened. I thought, this is great. But I was always very clear. I said, service accommodation. That's what I want to do. That's my key focus. If this comes off, that's great. But if it doesn't, I'm not worried, because I've got my key focus.
So you were not only focused on property, you're focused on a particular niche of property,
100%.
which is why you become an expert in service accommodation. So, but I think focusing is really important. Are you folks proud of you?
Yes, they are. Yeah, they are
good.
Indeed. Yeah,
well, we're proud of you as well, and
Thank you.
just great to continue a relationship with you and to see you winning, and super impressive stuff. What do you think the future of service accommodation is?
It's exciting. I think the key thing people have got to be aware of that it's a market that's going to be regulated. That will happen in the coming years, so it's really important to keep a really high standard of property.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure how that regulation is going to come in on, whether it will be through property sizes or limitations or whatnot, but keeping a really high standard of property is really important. Keeping the relationships with the landlords and relationships with your guests are super important, because as change comes, it'll be easier to affect that change when you've got good relationships with people. And I think it's just going to build. People are expecting a high level. Every single year, we've got more access to information on the internet. Every single year, although we've had some freedoms taken away through coronavirus, we should be having more freedoms hopefully going forward. People expect more. And I think you've got to, as a business, and I'm sure you agree, you've got to keep on giving more value. You've got to keep on offering more at the bottom line, which then leads on to sort of the other products in your range. Yeah, absolutely. So important. And thank you for not only adding value to your landlords and adding value to your guests, but also for adding value to my subscribers. It's been an absolutely incredible interview. Guys, if you found this helpful and useful, please do us a favor and let us know by smashing the like button. We want to see the thumb pointing up, so just go and hit that. Also, if you've got questions around service accommodation,
drop a comment below. I'm sure Alexander will be looking at the comments and will be answering away. So if you've got questions about service accommodation, go ahead and let me know in the comment box. If you'd like to join me at one of my training courses where you can learn about rent to rent and about the strategies, about service accommodation, how it works, I am running the Rent to Rent Revolution, which is a completely free training program. And if you want to come down on that, on the house, and learn all the strategies, it all started for Alexander at the free training, and he went on to then do the academy. If you want to experience the same training that Alex did for free, I'll leave a link in the description. Check it out. If you want to see more videos like this, I've got over 100 interviews that I've done with my success students. You can check a whole playlist up right here. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel over here, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.